Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the energy crisis facing Australians doesn't seem to be getting any closer to being solved, with the government throwing a range of solutions on the table, but no real action just yet. Certainly nothing that's making a difference to our soaring power bills. And of course, a large part of the energy debate comes down to how heavily we should be relying on renewables. COP27 has just wrapped up in Egypt, and I thought it would be really interesting to hear how it went from a Conservative's perspective. Joining me now is Liberal Senator David Van. David, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. We know this was extended because they were trying to nut things out. There was a fair bit of disagreement. What was actually achieved, first of all?
Well, I haven't seen the final transcript overnight, but it does seem to be that there was some sort of loss and damage clause written into COP27 final documentation. Minister Bowen was there and was leading some of those negotiations, so hopefully he had Australia's interests at heart. But yeah, I'm a little bit sceptical.
Well, what does that mean? Sorry, so have we essentially committed then to giving funds? Because I know there's a fair few places around Australia now that could probably use them as well.
And that was to the point I was just about to make, Erin, and it's a really, really important point that those watching need to understand. Australia's had a great history of giving aid to our Pacific neighbours when they needed it, when they had loss and damage. And we chose to where that went to. Also at home, when we had floods, fires, other things where we needed to back Australians, we had that decision. What I'm really hoping that hasn't happened is that Minister Bowen has signed a blank cheque to the UN or some other multilateral body that says, OK, Australia, you owe us this much and we'll decide where it goes. Now, that would be a really big mistake.
Particularly if China are still refusing to buy in or to pay a cent, which it appears they're doing so. So, I mean, the irony is just ridiculous. I mean, we have to take this. I get we have to take elements of this seriously. We have to look after our planet. We just can't be ridiculous about it. Did you see any evidence at COP27 there was a rational approach being taken to any of it?
Yeah, well, that's why some of us Conservatives went along to be there, to make sure that there was a rational voice. And we joined with a lot of our friends from the Republican Party and the UK Conservatives, to make sure that there was, amongst like-minded nations, people who are there who care about the environment, care about the planet, care about leaving a safer, healthier Earth for our children and grandchildren, who could say, OK, well, here's a pragmatic path. And that's what Australia's very, very good at. And all our partners, at the US and the UK, they were thrilled to hear our approach to how we were going about it. Most of them hadn't heard that we had got to over 20% reductions on 2005 levels before now. Most of what they read says Australia's a basket case when it comes to climate change.
Oh no, we were evil prior to this latest government. We were evil, of course we were. I want to get your opinion because I know how much you care about national security. On the Prime Minister's meeting with Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, obviously any kind of dialogue is a good thing, but do we need to take a step back and maybe not celebrate that we're now new best friends?
Well, the Chinese will be the first to tell you, we're not best friends. They'll take the meeting. They will, say whatever you want to hear, but then they'll go and do what they want to do. And what we've seen them do in the past has not been good for Australia. And I worry that if we cuddle up too much to them, that's going to leave an opening for them to just go whack at their earliest opportunity when they feel like it. So dialogue's a good thing. I'm all for diplomacy, but it's not the end of the game. And we need to keep up that dialogue, see where it takes us, really understand what it means in a strategic terms, but then stay strong as Australia, make sure we've got diverse and resilient supply chains that I know your father is a big fan of, and then really make sure that we put Australia first.
And that he is. David Van, Senator, you're a good man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Erin. Cheers.
Thank you.